Do you hear the captain sing, crying out across the stars? It is the anthem of the players, crushed beneath the endless charge.
When the packs are 99 and the servers barely run, then the game becomes a prison and the players say,
we're done.
Will you join the cause today? Raise your banners through the void. Stand together as a people. Make the galaxy annoyed. When the credits fuel the chains and the joy is sold away, we will fight for what was promised and we'll take the game we play. Will you buy or will you fight for a fleet that's truly free? Will you pay $100 just to grind the same debris? Same debris. Same debris.
From the Borg to Romulan space, from the stars to Klingon war, every captain swears together we won't pay them anymore.
Do you hear the captain sing of the bugs they will not bear, of the lag that's
All right, everybody, let's go. That might have been a little loud going by the decibel meter there, but that's okay. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. We're halfway through the work week, and we're halfway through the STFC week, and we are a little bit past halfway through the month. So all kinds of halves. Yeah, there's like half of everything. Half of everything is great. Half of everything is fantastic. So hope you all are having a great day. We've also got Alliance tournaments. That's good, right? Everybody likes Alliance tournaments. Look, there's a lot of things people don't like right now. I think most people still like Alliance tournaments. So that's going on, and I love Alliance tournaments because it's going to allow this account, hopefully, to not only stay in Masters League. Yes, low-level account is on the screen at the moment. Masters League is pretty exciting. And then after that, hopefully, not only can we stay there, but we can get even more points. So what I'm saying is we can rank high. We'll see. It's going to be a fight, and we're going to push for it. As you can see, right now, we're technically in the relegation area. But, I mean, this just started a couple hours ago. We're going to start pushing and see. The key is staying inside the top 19. I will say shout out to FX. I actually know them. Server 32. Recognize. What is up? Also impressive. You got 1 million points already. But yeah, welcome in, everybody. Hope y'all are having a fantastic day. There's obviously been a lot going on with STFC the past couple of weeks / months. But yeah, besides all that, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Shout out to Mad Mel, Major Samo, Wesley Clark, James Vargas, Darikas, Dup, Dorkington, Paris. Good to see you. Kyle, Harley, Darrell Wright, Edward Pierre. Let's see, General Flash. Good to see you. Trying to make sure I'm shouting out everybody. Some of y'all here multiple times. Paulo, Eddie, Top Gun, Galvan. Everybody, welcome in and do me a huge solid. Invite your friends, your neighbors, your baby mamas, your baby daddies, everybody that you know. Come into the stream, have some fun, and talk STFC. That's what we're going to do. And like it or not, we love this game. And we might as well be good at it. That's what I'm saying. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. Jerry, good to see you. Dozer, good to see you. Welcome in. They just announced on the server merge. They did. In fact, there are 8 servers merging, if I remember correctly. 8. Now, none of them are my servers, but if you are out there on the following servers, you'll be getting merged. 405 will be merging into 401. 408 will be merging into 411. 704 into 705, and then 102 into 702. These are all happening on different days and different time slots, which is provided by the good overlords over at Star Trek Fleet Command. And if you haven't been notified for your server, well, here's Rev notifying you that it's happening. All right, again, the notifications on the official Discord. I can move my camera just a little bit out the way here some more so y'all can read that message in its entirety. If y'all have missed it, these are the mergers that are happening. I know some of y'all are going to go, but Rev, my server needs a merge. I'm from server 38. I'm from server... Cool. If you feel like you need a merge or your server needs ascension, any of those things, feel free to reach out to myself or any of the other content creators so that we can make sure that bug gets put in the year. Not necessarily how Khan did it, as that might be a little sadistic. But we can still bring it up. And there are plenty of servers that I've gotten to help not only find Ascension, but mergers as well, if they actually needed it. I do have servers that'll be like, Rev, it's so boring on my server, we need a merge. And then I go and look and there's like 2,000 accounts that are on it. So those servers obviously not going to get merged. But if you are out there needing one, feel free to, reach out to whoever, even if you're not really a Rev guy. It's fine. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you hearing the fact that I'm talking. We can still maybe get Major Samo or It's Lube or, a host of people to help out in that regard. And real quick, I'm gonna put my camera back up now that we took that down. It's a little tiny for me. All right, there we go. We're back up and ready to check out. Mad Mel says, time my lunch break at work so I can listen in. That's a level of dedication and love that I greatly appreciate. Thank you for supporting me and my family. That's pretty heckin' awesome. And thank you. It's humbling, honestly, the fact that you're planning a work break around just a random ginger. You know what? And I thank you for it. And Edward says, hit the darn like button. Well, thank you. Again, none of these things are required, but let me tell you, they are very, very much appreciated if you do them. Now, I got to get some tasks here, and I'll tell you, those are not the prettiest tasks in the world. So let's go ahead and start getting our clicks in. We'll start answering any questions you have. Alliance tournament refreshes, and we'll get going. Tourneys actually started correctly this time. No retrieving. Yeah, look, sometimes you have those days. And today, again, it is nice to have a smooth day. Obviously, it's not been smooth, and I'm not going to pretend like it has been over the past 2 months. There's been a lot of mountains and valleys. I'd say the gameplay and the features that have been coming out, even some of the events have been pretty good, but obviously lag stability has been a continual issue. Thankfully, today was a good one. Hopefully, we continue to have a good day. Obviously, we stream on Monday nights, for those that don't know, over on a platform called Twitch. It's twitch.tv/RevDeuce. But we actually ended up not playing Star Trek Fleet Command at all. For those that don't know, what typically happens on Twitch is I'm partnered with multiple games. We'll play 2 hours of War Thunder, and then we'll do 2 hours of Star Trek on 4 times a week. And we didn't even switch to Star Trek because the servers were down. Like, you couldn't log in, or if you did, it was really laggy. So those have definitely been some common experiences. And obviously, we've spoken a lot about it. But today, hopefully, remains a good day, except for everybody else in my Alliance tournament bracket, because we really want to stay in Masters League. Ben says, has Mantis claim and I actually been fixed? Mine is still broken. Put in ticket. No response still. No, I don't believe it has. They did make an adjustment, but in terms of like fixing all the broken things in here, negative. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. In terms of, there's a couple of major IA issues that still persist. Now, it is not something that, to my understanding, they consider widespread, as in it's being handled on like an individual case basis. But please don't come at the messenger on that one. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, from what I'm gathering, it is something that is, these are things, whether we're talking about, a lot of people have been asking about transporter patterns lately. We've had people asking about just not being able to claim their stuff at all. All these individual issues, which are very real, thankfully aren't affecting the greater population, as in like most players, but it actually, or absolutely, is affecting some. So make sure you put in a ticket. If you have put in a ticket, you don't feel like you've gotten a response in an adequate amount of time. And when I define adequate, I'm saying, 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 days. They haven't even said anything. Well, let's see if we can try to escalate that. And if they've said something like you've got the bot response, we'll try to work through the bot. And before anybody says it, no, I don't like the bot. You don't like the bot. Nobody here likes the bot. Just, it's what we have to work through. So if you're out there and you do need some assistance, do let me know, or reach out to, again, any of the other CCs. Don't want to make it seem like I'm the only person that can help y'all out here. There are a lot of great people who will be happy to reach out to a CM if you feel like, you're not being heard, and try to get something escalated. Any of the official content creators or the official moderators on the Discord can all do the exact same thing that I do. So, there's a lot of people that can go to bat for you, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're out there and you are one of those people and you need that, well, please ticket first. Remember, no ticket, no problem. So let's see. Straight up can't claim. Heard Ben. And again, if they not respond in a few days, let us know. We'll see if we can't get that ticket looked at. Mr. Joanne says, am I missing something with this Lightyear luck? I've had no daily events to score with. So most events right now are going to be ops segmented. So that's going to be a big key there. What ops level are you, and which events are available to you will be based on that. So, for example, here's my Lightyear luck. It also could just be an issue of, something not showing up. Now, as you can see, didn't even do it yesterday. It's simple, just complete your daily goals. But yesterday was a very busy day in the Rev household, we'll put it that way. See, just daily goals for this. That should be what, if you're, again, in the appropriate ops range, should be seeing. If you are not, let us know. And we'll, again, take it. It gets annoying, I know, hearing me repeat that. But take it is the answer there on that one. If you're doing your St. Patty's Day events, etc., make sure that if you don't see anything at all, please put in a ticket. Can't guarantee that gets fixed in the interim, but I can at least be able to raise it as an issue and say, hey, look, these players are suffering from this. We need some type of either correspondence, as in like they post on the official Discord, they post in game, they acknowledge the tickets, things like that. But yeah, it should just be finishing your dailies. Should just be. And what's up, Wormwood? Good to see you. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. And yeah, I'm getting ready to start going through my grind here as we look for different tasks. Herogen, that's actually what I'm basically doing. The question is, can I punch up easily with this one? So I need to go do the warp range. So I need to actually check and see if the warp range upgrade is available for me to do for the Voyager. If so, and I can punch up, then I'll be able to do that task a little bit easier. As you go through the levels, just pay attention to little things like that. You get used to, if you're doing Alliance tournaments, playing, and you get to the point where you're like, oh, I've been doing this forever. So you can try to go to the same task and you realize, well, that hostile you were grinding that you were originally punching up 3 hostiles on for the easy scoring, and you now are doing like at ops level. So there's something to remind our mid-ops players, keep that up in the noggin just in case. All right, so I don't see any warp range here, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. And shout out to Tim. Tim, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships out to the YouTube channel. That is just another way you can support this channel financially. Thank you very much for doing so. And that also allows people to get special emotes they can use. It puts a special color on their name so we can all see them, like Papa Smurf, Dark Torch, Mr. Wobbly, Angel Rivera, Myriad Color. See them. Welcome into all 5 of y'all. Hope y'all are having an amazing day. Again, Wednesday. It's a good day. So, back out, can't do that. So Herogen for me might not be the best, but if you're like a level 35 player, really easy to punch up on this one. So just keep in mind, the difference between 21 points per hostile you can get versus 8. Either task is doable. Like if you have nothing available, please, I'm saying for your Alliance leadership, do something. But, maybe it's more advantageous for you to do something like Swarm, easier to punch up on, much older hostile, which you see I'm going to grab right now, than it is for you to do a Borg Probe or a Herogen, depending on your ops level. But definitely will continue to recommend to all of y'all, and hopefully everybody who is listening, whether you watch the show afterwards, whether you're participating here live, because we always have a couple hundred people come through. I think there's 150 already, and the stream's been up for like 5 minutes. So number 1, thank y'all for being here. And number 2, hey, remember, every task matters. Even if it's a small task, it matters and can help out your Alliance tremendously. And I love to reinforce it with the fact that, remember, I'm coming from a level, an Alliance that has 82 members with a lot of them, let's go by power, almost no G6, G7, right? We have 2 G7s, 2 71, we have 2 G6s, and that's it. And if our Alliance can make it to Masters League, then you can too. And it's all built upon the backs of people doing the gritty work, the hard work, we're going to go out there and we're going to grind things like swarms. People willing to put in that work. So don't feel like if you can't do the 10K task, you're worthless to your Alliance. I can assure you that is not the case. Speaking from personal experience as an Alliance leader, you matter. Even if you're like a level 25 and all you can do is the FKR grind task, let me tell you, an Alliance leader appreciates it because the rewards you simply get offered. I was going to reset that crew to go do some swarms. I keep getting distracted, but I need to do that real quick. This is easy for swarms. We're just going to do Pipe and Road Talon. If I have them actually handy. Speaking of, do I have Pike Moreau handy? I could have them on away teams right now that I'm thinking about it. Here, let's do this real quick. Group. Oh, Moreau is available, and then should go grab Talon. Again, this is that classic swarm set. I mean, this is what people who've been playing the game for 7 years were using, and still works effectively. And again, this helps you punch up, and I'm just using a newer ship instead of using a Franklin, which I don't have, which, again, having a Franklin would be good. I am of the party of don't skip ships, but guess what? I skipped the Franklins. All right, sue me. So I'm gonna go do this with a Reliant, which is honestly fine. And we'll go out and we'll just hit those 43s because I have to hit 3 levels above, and that'll let us finish this out. You see, I've got plenty of systems here that I can go and jump into. So your Boar Cube may not be the best, not until later. Boar Cube really takes off in upper G5, mostly upper G6 though. It becomes your main ship, main upper G6. Upper G5, it can be very, very good. The earliest I would probably say that you would enjoy a cube in terms of the cube can be pound for pound almost as good or as good as your normal ship is going to be probably 56s. But that can vary wildly. For example, if you're a player who takes a long time to play, let's just use a tenor medley in chat because I see them all the time, so they probably won't mind me just shouting out their name. Let's just say that they were level 56 and they've maxed their relativity for their ops level. And that cube's not going to be the answer for them, right? It's not going to compare. You know, there's specific ops levels and specific ranges where you're just gonna have something better. But the cube is great to have long term, and at the end of the day, if you're a Star Trek fan, it is a cube, right? I mean, that's really, really neato. If you're like me and you've been watching Star Trek your entire life, the odds or the thought of having a cube is just really, really neat, and I personally love it. So, yeah, have you clocked level 53? I know you're in G5, so yeah. Now, Nijima says, what's the 10K Alliance Tournament task that you do that has to do with artifact shards? So, Nijima, that is the Temporal Disruptors task. Now, I won't be able to show you on this account because this is the level 40 account. I've not really started that process. Like, I'm working on it. As you can see here, I have artifacts. So, it's not that I don't have artifacts, but I don't have the temporal stuff. Like, this account just hit G4. So I have to work on getting those done. I do need to do way more formation armadas on this account. As you can see, the building level is too low, and I need to go do more of these. So if you're in Horde, that's on our project list. I've got to do a lot more of that. But in terms of what you're doing there, you're converting temporal shards to create temporal disruptors, which is hands down maybe the easiest if you're a higher level player. And by higher level, I'm just going to say you're level 60 and above. If you're in that range, it's probably the easiest Alliance Tournament task you can do, and it is incredibly profitable. So, not there quite yet, but that's at least where you do it. If you're looking forward to Hemi, good to see you. Welcome on in, as well as Demon Chris, Jack, welcome in. Love to shout out to all the awesome people. I mean, the fact that y'all come here and support me and the family is insane. So, thank you for that. So, that's going to be your Temporal Disruptor task, and there are several others. We still have that spreadsheet. If anybody needs it, it is handy. I can grab the link real quick just to share. Remember, we have an entire spreadsheet of going over all the tasks, what you can do. Here, one sec. Let me take this capture window, make sure it's getting the right thing. And we'll put this back on the screen just because y'all have, I think, gotten accustomed to seeing it. But I think with this being so important, you can't see it enough. I'm talking about the 10K task list, and I'm going to put it on the screen. Again, I just don't know if people can see this enough. And some of y'all might get tired of having seen this probably 400 times, but the free-to-play 10K task grind list, Blue Mando took the time to put the graphics up for it and everything. Still is probably one of the most important documents we have. I know going outside the game can be very, very annoying. I absolutely get that. So no arguments. Bob, great to see you. Doug, great to see you as well. But if you are trying to, again, just maximize your ability, depending on your ops level, almost all of these are available. Again, depending on ops level. Even the Acquire Mats one is technically available as a lower level if you are, holding on to your choice tokens, which on this account, just because it just hit G4, the one behind me has not done. I've not been holding on to those tokens because, like I said, just hit G4, needed to really get a lot of that stuff, and I can't afford it. But everybody else can, and if you can go to the tournament task list, the main page over on that right side, you'll see what you need to make that happen in terms of shards and stuff. But in terms of 10K grindable tasks, this is your list of everything from emergency field rations you can use, upgrading your command center, the temporal disruptor one, which we just went over, the proto matter one, which again, That one's the grindiest one, but it is a free-to-play 10K task. Acquire 6,000 uncommon board credits. Super easy if you have an NX01, which sadly I don't have yet on this account. Soon, maybe soon, these other ones. So again, these are all available. And if you're level 40 above like I am, then acquiring the Dominion Solo one is now something that you can do free to play if it pops up and populates in your list. So sent you a screenshot of every temple artifact that works. Oh, that's useful, Tim. Yeah, I probably need to go and appreciate that. I need to go in and upgrade or update the list and actually list those. But yeah, it's everything that is a temporal. Oh, wrong button. Display capture. This is just what he's shared, so I'll share with y'all. It's everything that's in the temporal menu, right? So it's not just Janeway's pocket watch and the Chronom time weapon. You hear us talk about those two items the most because those are the easiest for players to continually refine via their DTI faction. But it's anything that's a temporal. And it depends also on if it's uncommon, rare, or epic. Epics are the easiest. You'll need, 125 of the epics to get it done, but you can still do it with a combination of others. So don't feel like if you don't have those two specific ones, you can't contribute to that task. You just need to know exactly what you're looking for. In terms of the numbers, let me give them to you real quick. It is going to be, if you're mixing and matching, it is 167 rare, 250 uncommon, or 125 epic. So you can kind of math out the points there because you're having to obtain 15,000 points, right? So you could do the math real quick on what each one is worth, and whatever combination, as long as you get to the 15,000 points, doesn't matter which you used, epics, uncommons, whatever, 10K task, done, wipe your hands, go home. You did a great job. Your Alliance appreciate you. It's me. I'm your Alliance. I appreciate you. So, Little Birdie told me that the new data officer works in Outpost despite his description. Yeah, well, Little Birdie should also remind everybody that this game is really bad about descriptors and writing out sheets of officer descriptions that actually work. So, as a reminder, for everybody here, a great tool. I know I'm shouting out a lot of tools, and it can get annoying. I just want to say this up front because I know people out there feel this way, that so many of the best things to use in STFC aren't found in STFC. But if you go to a website called stfc.cc, that is a fantastic spreadsheet made by a community member named Quazel. They're one of volunteers / one of the, you can kind of call them a content creator. They are on a lot of Twitch streams as a guest, and they make spreadsheets. They help keep updated. Anyway, he made a tool that'll let you see, okay, does this officer work? Does this FT work, etc.? And again, it's just something that makes the process a little bit easier if you have a few minutes to run up there and look at stfc.cc and then compare what officers work with Outpost, what officers work with Q trials, what officers work with augment / gold hostile bosses. And it's good to be able to find that information. Again, that is all readily available right there. So, but thank you, Tim, for sharing that screenshot. And Hemi says, I just got the Revenant. You said the Revelant. Do you mean the Revenant or the Reliant? Because I feel like you combined both of them. If you somehow managed to combine the Reliant and the Revenant, that's awesome. Because that's less BPs you needed. So good job. But seriously, which one is it? So with only one tier with one part on it, hopefully it will not take long to build up. The Relativity is not terrible in terms of upgrade timing. The Reliant is quite time consuming. So it depends on which one you meant. And the Revenant is very, very fast. The Relativity is somewhere in the middle. The Reliant is really slow. But the Reliant can be sped up in multiple ways now. If you're a mid-ops player like this account is, you're going to have events that do that. As in events that are going to help pay out shards and stuff to help speed up the Reliant. Or you can get upgrade materials for your Reliant. So just to show you my event store here on this one, you can see, well, right there. I have 2 Reliant schematics that I can exchange to get 5,500 uncommon parts. So that is helping speed it up. Now that's ops level based. So like if you're level 60, you don't see this because you are not considered a player in need of a catch-up mechanic. You're kind of in the current part of the game, if that makes sense, which you can tell by is a feature coming out for me this month, right? And this month it was level 55 and above players. So if you're up there, you won't see those type of mechanics, but there are multiple ways to speed it up. You have the transgen refinery, you have the challenge refinery, which will let you get ship parts. The transgen refinery will allow you to actually get an efficiency booster for the ship parts to make the Reliant upgrades cheaper. There are ways to make these better than they are coming out, because for those who aren't familiar, most of the new special ships coming out have got like an upgrade path of 600 plus days. As in, that's how long it would take you doing the normal free-to-play drip to max the ship out. It's, you know, almost, it's a year and a half. So anything to speed that up is very much appreciated by probably all of us. And there are a couple of ways to do that. It's not bad, 600 days. Yeah, it's not bad at all, right? Yeah, especially when most of us have got like 500 days left to live. Who knows? All right. McIlroy says, so if it says 102 pointing to 702, is that who you're merging into? Yes, it's 102 going into 702. And you are correct, your question, that it will completely reset your territory. So at a merge, so of the 8 servers that are merging, y'all's territories will be completely reset to blank. And everybody will have to recapture them again. And what almost always happens is like the top alliances from each server duke it out to see who's got the biggest ship and, you know, who's carrying the biggest nacelle and who's going to have sway over the row and over the territory. This is kind of normal, you know, inner server politics after a merge. So prepare yourself for those things if you haven't already. But yeah, those are the mergers. Those are how it's happening. But I do want to be clear, just because like 102 goes into 702, that doesn't make it 702 servers. It's your server. Enjoy it, make new friends, and if confrontation happens, win. Yeah, that's what I got to say about that. I'm gonna check my score real quick. I am scoring. I'm not using, I probably need to swap ships. The Reliant just a little bit underpowered for this, for punching up to the 43s. It just takes several lives, which I guess is not the worst thing in the grand scheme. But anyway, currently I was 48, says John. If I didn't get the Stella earlier, how do I get it now? Or does it even matter if I have it at this point? I would encourage you to unlock it because there are a couple of nice researches in the Stella tree. Specifically for those curious, I like the Impulse research, which is good for G4 and above players. Just helps you have faster ships. And there are efficiencies for like your ore, your crystal, your gas. Those are still nice and relevant in the game today. Now, I'll also add into that the overall value of the Stella is quite low, right? In terms of importance, it's not something that I think anybody here is going to argue is an important loop in today's game. I would still encourage you to try to do it, if that makes sense. Like I would still say go after it, and maybe you decide that you would rather use some of these speed up mechanics like in this Mirror Universe refinery, where you can use this to try to, you know, advance faster in your Stella process. It's kind of up to you. I would still get it and work on it, but it wouldn't be my focus. You know, for example, this refinery has significantly more value for me as a level 40 than Stella does. And that's because of all the fleet commanders, which again translates to essentially they each have their own individual research tree. So being able to acquire officers, fleet commanders, you know, you got to put in your order of importance. I would definitely do it, but I wouldn't say that like if you don't do it, you should feel bad or that you're really missing anything. If you do feel like you have a time where you can play some catch up, put your Stella on your catch up list. But it's not necessarily something that if you don't do it, you're really just hurting your gameplay. That would be an inaccurate statement. You can skip it. I would recommend everybody do everything in the game, experience the game in its entirety. But if you've got more important things you're working on, then do the more important things and work your way back. Nothing wrong with that at all. He says, at Ops 19, is there anything I contribute to the Horde in Alliance tournaments? The only thing that you could realistically do, Nico, at 19 is the FKR, so the Federation Klingon Romulan Grind Task. If those pop up, you could contribute to Grind Task. Now that would be kind of it, right? Like I've got this solo. I can make this pull, this pull right here. That'll give me my Dominion directives. I'm sorry, my board directives. So like there are things that become available and you just kind of keep up with them based on your ops level. For you as a low player, basically if you're an ops 20, you're asking your alliance to rotate the task so that the FKR task comes around, the Federation Klingon Romulan Grind Task, and those you can contribute to. And I've seen people in like the low 20s contribute. Right, and one thing I'll also add, and again, ops level based here. I know we were talking with Miss Joanne about another ops level type of event structure. But don't forget, there's also an event now for Alliance tournaments that I strongly encourage everybody to participate in. I'm trying to find the name of it because I'm blanking. It's not Fueling the Fire. Where is the SMS? There's an SMS that you do every day. And is it this heroic? Yeah, the Heroic Pursuit. Now, this is a leaderboard that just about everybody can contribute to if you're, again, in that ops range. And even if you're not doing big events, just doing this, as you can see, will give you Alliance Tournament points, will give you Alliance Tournament credits, and Officer Depot tokens. So just by doing your hostile grinding, you're able to contribute to Alliance tournaments. Again, is based on what ops level you are. But in terms of can you do something to help out, the answer is almost always yes. No matter what ops level you are, you can do something to help out your alliance, your group in Alliance tournaments. And I think that's a good feeling, right? Because if you feel like you can't contribute, you're just like, well, what's the point? Like, you feel like you're less than. Let me tell you, that's why I'm big on my group. We've only got 19 so far. My goal is to get at least 60% of my people contributing and doing their task. And if that's the case, we're going to stay our happy little butts in Masters League. All right, see, I've already got 1,500 points just from doing the event, not even doing the task yet. And that's going to be key because, right, we got to maintain at least up in here. It's going to be tough because we don't want to get relegated. So I'll be pushing my group. But, you know, just the options that are in the store, I want to try to take advantage of, right? Like, you know, you look at the Kashar artifact. That's free to play queuing for as you're doing your grinding. It does make life easier. And if you get it free to play, it's a lot easier to appreciate it because you don't have to deal with all the problems everybody else did if they purchased it, right? Sure, it might break on you, but you didn't spend $100 on it or more. So maybe that doesn't infuriate you like it does many, many others. So let me actually swap you out. I do love my Enterprise. The only problem with the Enterprise, you know, Warp Rage. Warp Rage is not really there for the old school Enterprise anymore. And until I make it to level 42, I can't do the Angel in the Skies mission. So I do have this ship, though. All right. Check any upgrades. Don't have any upgrades, so no worries there. Working on tier 6. Let's bring out the Vindicator. And it was surprising that how quickly this jumped out to being, you know, just a very useful ship for me. But just tier 1, as you can see, popping in at 24. Made it at level 40. Nice. Just for somebody who is actually sitting at level 40. It's pretty dope. So we'll send that out there. And yeah, you're going to be like, hey, won't have the mitigation advantage because against the triangle, but should be fine. Nisha says, thanks to you, I've gotten past 20,000 points for my alliance on 2 temporal disruptor tasks. Thank you. You are so welcome. And I'm sure your alliance leadership is very happy with you as well. And more reason to get your entire group in here so we can help out everybody. Everybody. Ridiculous adds in merging. Talking about that earlier. Prepare for server war. Speaking from experience. And look, I'll just keep it straight with you. That does happen quite a lot when it comes to server merges in STFC. Generally, like I said, the top alliances are going to butt heads. Who's stronger? Who matters more? Whose opinion's louder? And like, that's just an unavoidable part of it. Now, I've said before, I don't think conflict in itself is an inherently bad thing in Star Trek Fleet Command. Some people disagree. Shout out to my friend Braindig, who believes that, you know, anything Star Trek shouldn't have any PvP in it to begin with. Hey, I respect people for having opinions. If you're out there, though, this is something that you need to prepare for. Like, this is likely going to happen, right? You're more than likely going to run into that. Speaking of, now that I hit this, I can finally use this. I forgot I had this ready. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit that button. So, but this is, again, Alliance tournament type benefits. Being able to get these primes ready to go as you're moving into those ranges. That's, man, I completely forgot about that. So that's awesome. It's awesome. Okay, excited Rev is excited. And then we'll come down here and you see I need to work on that some more. Loot is best shared. We do like OPC hunting. The war happened with our merge, says Zolan. Still kind of going on a year or so later. Yeah, like I said, this is you could call it a common occurrence for these type of situations. And I get it, and everybody likes PvP, but in a merge, you're going to just simply have hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people interacting with new folks, and there's going to be those disagreements. Pretty similar to what you already experienced on your own server. There's not a lot of servers out there, and if you happen to be one, feel free to talk about your experience. There's not a lot of servers out there that have no war, and there's very Farmville. They do exist, don't get me wrong. A lot of them are in Europe, but There's not a lot of those where everybody's just honky-dory and kumbaya, everybody on the server. So it's really no different at the end of the day. You're just adding in more people to your play group, and I think that's more of a good thing than a bad thing. So we'll see how that ends up playing out for many of you out there. But truly, I do believe it's more good than bad to have things like that. So anyway, let me go ahead and grab our amalgam. I'm going to go put my amalgam out because transgen mining is very important. I just wish I could speed up this actual building upgrade because I need to run more formation armadas. But in terms of actually getting the loot that I need, I'm doing pretty good with mining my stuff of this account. Yeah. Did anyone not receive the full points for the Ferengi Exchange daily on Monday? It only gave me the first and third milestones, missing second and fourth. Kieran, that didn't happen to me, and I don't believe I saw that posted in my Discord, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. And the first question, you know I'm going to ask, did you put in a ticket? Right? Hopefully you did. Please let me know what they say. You know, keep me up to date, and we'll see if we can do anything to help out if needed. But no matter what, make sure you put in a ticket. And as annoying as it can be, it's going to be something that I repeat a lot this year. Again, just from every interaction I've had with game design, with community management, they continually stress the need for the ticket system to be used. So with that in mind, I just need to double check, but I'm pretty sure I'm out of choice tokens. Just thinking of tasks. There's more artifact gallery schematics. Again, one of the things I love about low level battle passes. Now, let's see. Does that give me enough to upgrade? It does. Oh, my Lanta. This is a happy day. Nope. Don't want to buy that. I'll do this happy dance right here. Start working on upgrading this thing because, yeah, even just hitting it at 34 is so far behind where it should be. What will we be talking about tonight on your Twitch stream? Well, hey, Tibbs. I'll be honest. Do you have a topic in mind? Do you want me to talk about something, Tibbs? Is there something specific that you would like me to bring up? Tibbs, are we going to war? I mean, right now I'm trying to work on Alliance tournament. So if you have something specific and my brain's not registering that I should be talking about something, feel free to bring it up. But at the moment, it's not clicking. I'm focused on getting tournament tasks done on server 710 and in Horde. Yeah, a lot of issues on Monday about scoring, and they put out a message they were looking into that. So you did have a general problem just on Monday with scoring and everything that's existing, right? Like, again, I said it earlier in this stream. Monday night, we didn't even stream Star Trek Fleet Command because of how problematic it was. It was not operating well. The servers were crashed, like the login servers weren't working, things like that. So my reaction was just, hey, if STFC is not playing well, I just don't play it. You know, and I know not everybody is going to be on that same boat. I'm one of the people who've, beaten FOMO. Ignore FOMO, have fun. So, and it also says, did you receive the package? Now that I did. I think it's sitting in the kitchen. Got here this morning, also says, and that I might be wearing in tonight's stream. So if you want to see me wearing something special, check out tonight's stream. Also don't let me forget. Tibbs says, no, I just want to remind the 230 people here watching you that you have a different show tonight, which might be focusing on different content should they tune in. That is very true. We do tend to do that. And there's also other awesome people like Drastic Leak who just showed up, who also streams on Twitch. So if y'all are ever looking for more STFC content, there's more STFC content on Twitch now than there is on YouTube. So just something to consider. If you love this game, or if nothing else, if you love the people, jump over there. And if you need help, some of them might even be a little bit helpful. Some of them. Definitely not Tiberius. We seem to have a war at least once or twice a year now, says Zolan. Always between the same two alliances. I just wish the stakes with war were higher. Yeah, and I agree. And I've mentioned this before. And again, shout out to Snowwolf, who we're currently at war with. And I'll be honest, and I'm sure Critter would agree, the war's simmered back down. And a big reason for that is there's no real way for either of us as alliance leaders to, objectively say, using in-game tools, we won, right? It doesn't really exist. Now, and I'm just going to speak from Horde's opinion. In my opinion, we've already beat war with this right here. Because obviously, for those that don't know, the war started over we will OPC hunt in token space. Now, it's not mandated, and I think we've only got maybe 3 people who do it here and there. But it's something that I truly believe should be available to all players, particularly free-to-play, because that helps them catch up in the game. It is a fantastic mechanic for free-to-play to catch up to all the heavy spenders, to get all the different currencies you need. We allow that, but it's certainly not mandated. Now, when things like this come into effect, where other alliances are like, you know what, if you do it, we're going to do it to you, I take that as a massive win. Like, good. More people doing that. Is Token your road to be protected? Absolutely not. If you protect Token, you're hurting free to play. That's what I'll say loudly. I think there is a direct correlation that it's always the top alliances, the number ones, number twos, like, don't hit in Token space. That's bad. You're hurting people. Of course the whales say that. They want to be left alone until they want to come smash your base 7,000 times. Yeah. It's easy to be like, leave me alone when you're the one with all the power and all the resources. So, yeah, and everybody who's played with me knows that there's never been a server that I've ever followed that rule on. You can have that rule. We're just going to be like, no, we're not going to follow it. So, Wolf has declared war on us. I think this is the fourth time, right? And I actually feel like that's a win. But the main point of that was, and what me and Critter would agree on, is that this game has horrible mechanics, no mechanic for really tracking a win or loss in a war. It's basically a war of attrition. The only real way that I have found to win a long war in Star Trek Fleet Command is you win by numbers. Do you pressure their members enough to where they get tired of getting hit and they leave? And I'll be honest, that's not a fun way to war in a game. Yeah, so you can add that to the long list of things that STFC needs to improve on. One of those things being they need much better mechanics in terms of war mechanics. So, yeah. Win says free to play doesn't want to be hitting token space either. Free to play. Hit me if you catch me. You catch me OPC and token, have it. Have it. Zod says at this point, there's no token space above G5 though, unless I'm mistaken. Wouldn't that be better for free to play at this point? Well, first off, don't take this the wrong way. You are mistaken. Like there's token space in the Veil. There's token space for G6 mining, right? There's token space for everybody. Now, whether you actually want to take advantage of those places is completely up to you. And I would also make the argument, like for example, these are 6-star mining token spaces. So remember the silent hostiles? I know not a lot of people really do those. You know, it's not really something that gets a lot of attention. But the old silent systems, these are G6 mining systems. The thing is, though, with all the nodes that exist in the game today, most people don't even care or bother with a lot of that type of token mining because it's easy, right? Like there's nodes everywhere and the resource rates are high. When you get to these deep nodes in G6, do you even really need that? Some people still do, though. You know, more than likely, OPC hunting, you're going to find a lot now in places like here, right? These type of token systems where you can find millions of common, uncommon, rare, transient, things like that. Point I'm making is I like it being available as a tool for people to utilize to make themselves better if they choose. And if they don't, it's really okay. Lawhawk says OPC is OPC and it doesn't matter where. If your ship has a weapon, it can shoot back, put PvP crews on them, make it hurt to attack them. Yeah, and look, in fairness, Lawhawk, always want to be as fair as possible on this channel. It's not like, even with that argument, that we are saying PvP is fair, right? Because obviously PvP in this game doesn't scale up well at all. We actually did a segment on Twitch where a friend of mine who is level 73 came by and, he was 72, and we were talking about how my board cube can't even beam him because of the beam tax, you know. And there's no scaling to PvP to allow you to really compete against somebody who's 10 levels above. Now, in terms of like a PvP arenas mechanic, have I beat 72s? Absolutely, right? And PvP arenas, using strategy and teamwork to complete certain tasks, we've beaten G7 teams as G6 players. So it can be done in that way. But in terms of like just head-on fighting, which again, going back to the war in STFC, there's no real balance there. So I can still understand, like I hear people when they say, look, I want to be able to go to token and not have somebody 10 levels above me hit me because I can't defend against that. And I understand that. To me, and this is getting me sharing my paradigm, that to me is a problem with the PvP mechanic, because first off, why is a level, for example, 60 hunting an OPC level 50 if we're talking just normal token spaces? Like, why are you in that person's token area? You're probably doing it to be a butt, not OPC hunting. Depends on what we're hunting, but just generally speaking, like if you're level 50 and you jump down to the level 33 Borg probe token system, you're probably there to just be a butt, right? You're probably just being a butt. So to me, that's a different type of action, but if we're talking about player to player and peer to peer, which is most of those type of interactions, I do agree with what you're saying. Like, put a PvP crew on. I do that. I'll put a PvP crew on, like my Amalgam or something on this account, and it'll win sometimes, it'll lose sometimes. So, yep. I wish that Scopely would do something similar to Clan Wars and Clash of Clans, where there are clear objectives for a war/skirmish between alliance, and I absolutely agree with that statement. And no matter where we sit on things like OPC and war and territory, every one of us is probably going to agree with basic points that this game does not have a good system for those type of, activities. And hopefully that changes. I mean, it is something that they've absolutely acknowledged, and I appreciate that. They've talked about the meager offerings in terms of what alliance leaders can do, commodores can do, what you can actually do in terms of diplomacy. And it's taken a lot of us fighting. To be clear, I mean, there's been a lot of content creators doing things to make stuff like this happen. For those who are newer to the game, like I know we've been talking to people like on server 702 and stuff today. If you didn't know, there didn't used to be this many different tags. There used to be basically enemy, civil, friend, and that was it. Now we have more differentiation, so you can actually say these are actual allies. These are people that we maybe like but aren't allied with. These are people we're on good terms with, and there are even different rows that were created. Die get thrown in. Oh Lord. Okay. Sorry, AT&T just had a dropper real quick. Woof. Come on, AT&T. Don't y'all start being like Comcast now. Don't calm it down. But anyway, hopefully that interruption was like for 2 seconds. Y'all are good to go. Even a skirmish system where you could do engagement with allied alliance would be really fun. Agreed. Actually, one thing that's been asked for a long time is just the ability to hit purples. Like, to have a system where, and again, just kind of like spitballing, to have a system where you were, maybe it's a specific system, maybe it was an instance, kind of like the arenas are. So that's a specific instance. That's not really a, can't really word that as a system. Because you're going to a different area. Like, you're no longer on server 20, as it were, right? You're going to a different spot. But the ability to crew test with your own alliance mates by attacking them, right? That's something that players have brought up as something that would be very useful. But, again, it will vary player to player. Did we lose Rev? Fine on me. Yeah. Y'all have no sound? It says sound's going through. That's weird. Hold on, let me look. Looks good on my end. We did have a brief interruption because apparently my AT&T fiber decided to get crazy, but should be good. Yeah. If y'all had like a little blip, apologize. But anyway, audio should be good. Do you hit allied alliance players who are OPC? So our personal rule for allies is we don't hit allies, but we can ask for it. So like if, for example, on this server, if I see AAA has got, 2 million OPC rare, I'm going to go ask, hey, look, they're sitting there. Somebody's going to grab it. Can I smack it? So in that regard, we do still allow it. It's just you can't blindly go out and do it. So again, just as an example, if I'm in this system, I'm currently mining rare, and I happen to see somebody I'm allied with, like let's just say this player, and they're on a 0 node, and if they had 1 million OPC, I might go ask the alliance leadership of AAA, can I go grab that? They're on a 0, they're OPC. Odds are somebody's going to get them, Guns, Wolf, Gorn, etc., and we'll do it that way. So the alliancing of like us having people that we're actually allied with, that simply means that we're going to ask first. So I guess it's a little bit nicer, but yeah, I mean, unless we have a specific setup, like for example, just to explain part of our row, Guns. Anybody in my alliance knows that you can hit Guns OPC whenever you want. However, everybody also knows there's a repercussion. For those that don't know, Guns is the #1 alliance on server 710. Horde is the number 4 alliance of almost all free-to-plays. This is an alliance of almost all of the major spenders are in Guns. If we hit them OPC, Guns has a rule. They immediately declare a 7-day war on Horde. Now, for anybody ask, we've still gone to war with Guns 7 or 8 times, right? They feel like they get their ounce of blood for it, and then we go back to being what we are. You have to figure out, you know, that they weigh the pros and cons. So like everybody in my alliance knows that. So while I don't tell them don't hit guns, all I say is please make it worth it. Like, don't make a 7-day war happen over 200 OPC crystal. Now, if you manage to like find, here's what I would find acceptable. And I'm just speaking out loud. Let's just say our G5, one of our G5 players found a group of guns in transition space. And specifically, by the way, Zolan, this is OPC in token space. So guns only declares a 7-day war if we OPC hunt them in token space. But I'll tell my group, if you go to OPC token, let's just use this as an example. So let's just say they went here to Javosta. And let's say you found a group of guns in there and there was like 7 to 8 million total OPC and you grabbed all of it. I would accept that. I would be like, you know what? That is okay that they declared war on us for 7 days. That's cool. I'm willing to back you up on that because you got a good payment out of it. Right? Cool. And I have found that our alliance is pretty understanding in that regard. Even Conk, who is probably one of our most well-known members in our alliance. So shout out to Conk. Conk will be, if the war happens, his first reaction is, it better have been worth it. And then he's going to go defend you with all that he's got because our alliance is very close. We're very family type atmosphere. So yeah, anyway, that's how our token stuff works. It's just understanding consequence of action. We know that not everybody's going to respect that, but we hold our own. And we have the respect of 7-for-7-10, and of that I'm very proud. So you can hit their alliance? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. How about going to war because an alliance won't use a server Discord? This is going to sound maybe silly to some. I don't think there's a wrong reason to declare war in Star Trek Fleet. Now we can debate merits of war, but at the end of the day, man, this is a mobile game that we play for fun, right? It's just we break out our little iPhones, we have our fun. Worried. Sorry, my wife texted me. I was just looking. But yeah, we play. It's not that big a deal, is what I'm saying. But I would say this: there's not going to be a server anywhere where everybody uses Discord, right? If you decide to, like No Way says, declare war on somebody because you spilled your coffee and you're in a bad mood, guess what? That's a legitimate reason to declare war. But I'll tell you this, if you get a reputation and your alliance is having to deal with the fact that you're declaring war every 30 seconds for the most random, mundane things, you're probably not going to have a lot of alliance membership. So again, weigh those pros and cons. But there's no wrong reason to go to war. If there's an alliance out there that says we're going to declare war unless everybody gets in Discord, that's their prerogative. I'll be honest. As an alliance leader, I would immediately be on the opposite side of that because I'm very much allow people to play however they want. And if people want to keep this as a mobile game that they decide, I don't want to look at spreadsheets. I don't want to attend Rev Deuce's YouTube live stream. I don't want to join Discord to jump into your drama fest of let's debate. Oh my gosh, my poor miner, you've got to retribute me for all the harm and danger the families of my poor rock eaters took. If you want to, avoid all that, if you can't tell by the over dramatization how I avoid that, right? Feel free, right? If you're curious how I play, it's funny because I am in basically every server Discord for every server, except server 20, and I don't do server 10. The ones I play in, I avoid because, so there's more than that, but like I might be in them, but I don't really participate. I don't want to deal with so many people who, in my opinion, act like we're still in high school. It's very cliquey. We're arguing over stupid stuff. No, Rev's not going to do that. Rev's going to tell you, here's how me and my 80 people play, and y'all can do whatever y'all want to do with that information. So I'm not going to get in there and debate with you over the merits of OPC hunting and token space. People are going to have their opinions on that, pro, con, whatever. I'm just simply going to be like, here's how we play. Be warned. Be our friends, be our enemies. Now you know. All right? And just all I ask is people be cordial with each other. Remember, at the end of the day, everything here is pixels. This is all fake. Nothing here is real. But the people are. Right? The people on the other side of the screen are real people. like Bob, who's in my alliance and talks in the YouTube chat, like Tibbs. These are real people, right? So as long as you keep that in your brain, you have that level of respect when you interact with everybody, play the game however you want. And that even includes me saying it's okay to be rogue. As in, if you really get your, I had somebody messaging me on Facebook about this morning. There are players in G7 who all they do is they go into the Veil and they clear the entire Veil. Whether they get OPC or not, they just clear it. And while I will sit there and acknowledge, yup, super annoying, yup, I wouldn't do it, that's a completely fair way to play Star Trek Fleet Command. Now, I know people don't like hearing that, but it's the truth. There's no wrong way to play Star Trek Fleet Command except the ways that break the terms of service of the game. So if you really want to be the guy who's just like, you know what? US2, none of the Veil gets to do anything for the next hour. You get to be that guy. Cool. You're not going to have many friends, let me tell you. But it's not a bad way to play. It's just, your way. And remember, as long as you treat people with respect, that's all I ask for. Go from there. You think Bob is a bot? Do you? Bob is my best friend. Yeah. You're a real boy? I'm a real boy. When does the second level, the Augment Warp Favor, unlock? That's jump in here. And depending on, if you're talking about the one for the Reliant itself, or are you talking about the super highways? So if you're talking about the super highways, that's a Reliant tier 10. If you're talking about the super highways and augments. So, and then you see this is what I've done so far on this account. And if you're talking about the Augment Warp Core, that next one is going to be, that's G5, like it's level 51. I can't remember exactly where that one's at. Also, Gary, thank you for gifting a membership to the channel. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to think it's, let me see if I can pull it up real quick on SEO Space. I try to give you the most accurate information I can. Let's see. That one is called Augment Warp Core. The second level of that is, they don't list the requirements on the website. Fantastic. Great job, STFC. I feel like it's level 51. There's an ops requirement to that? But yeah. I feel like it's ops 51. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's ops 51 that the second becomes available. You get that big warp jump. So Galvin says, we have one person on our server always attacking anyone weaker than them and being a thorn in everyone's side because they love the negative tension in the aftermath. You just ignore them, they go away. Yeah, that's what I do. Like, there's a troll on server 20 who's a rogue. He's been voted rogue by the entire server, and the dude tries to get under my skin, and I've just been ignoring him for 2 years. And every now and then he'll try again. He'll try to make an account and join the alliance or something like that. He'll try to send a message via somebody else, and I just ignore it. And you know what? They very rarely bother me. They do every now and then because they still try to, get my attention. I just don't give it to them. Now, that's how I play. That's how I encourage everybody to play. So, personally. Muad says row is player-based rules, not game-based rules. Correct. Yeah, row doesn't exist, right? Row is only there if you let it be. And I'm not even saying that row can be a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I do believe that row as a whole is often a tool used by the biggest in the server to control what everybody else is doing. It's not always the case, but as long as people have the ability to choose, that's all that matters. Play how you want. Play how you want. Once a blue moon, a whale will attack out of nowhere for no reason. Yeah, and that doesn't happen on most servers, but I acknowledge that it's there. Like, I acknowledge that there is somebody on your server possibly who just, they spend a lot of money and all they care about is wiping the floor with people. That's okay. It's not a universal experience, but I acknowledge that those examples do exist. Do you have an account on 26? No, I do not. I do not. Do you see any reason to save up Outpost directives? Yes and no. I wouldn't save them up to the point where I only run them during like the Outpost Battle Pass. As a reminder, the Outpost Battle Pass runs once a month, and you will need directives to make sure you complete all those events. Now, obviously, this account doesn't have it, but just again, if you're unaware, you'll have a whole Outpost battle pass just for doing Outpost. With all that said, you still want to run Outpost because you want to be able to get your refinery in. That's what I'm saying. There's a limit to the amount of directives you can hold, and especially with the commons, they've made it easier to hold onto the commons or have more of the commons. Definitely recommend at least doing something. Right, you want to get at least something out of that. If you decide to kind of make sure that you're doing the bi-weekly Outpost run or the once-a-month Outpost, yeah, definitely make sure you have enough to where you're completing that. But I would still also run enough Outpost, if you're able, to make sure you're getting even basic refined pulls, even if it's nothing more than the premium mirror does, right? You want to be able to make sure you're pulling that every day. So as long as you have just enough to do some of the basics, then maybe you can hold and, you know, guarantee that you have enough to finish things like the Outpost Battle Pass itself and the events that coincide with that. But I wouldn't say that you just need to sit on them all month either. Outposts need a rework. No one does them on our server. They're bare. And see, I do them, but they're an overnight mechanic. Like, I set my stuff out, I get what I need, and then I'm done. And then when I need more currency, I come back and do it. But you are right. As a whole, because it's a 6-hour process, a lot of people are not super engaged with it. And I think that's understandable. I mean, it's a 6-hour process. To me, obviously, people aren't going to be super engaged. It's a 6-hour process, right? Like I got to say that a lot because, geez. Now, I would say that a 6-hour event structure / feature in STFC is not inherently bad. In a vacuum, that can be very useful, but you then also have to have a lot of other things being provided. Like, for example, the fact that Outpost as a difficulty are so difficult, it does expect you to have some of your best ships and best crews. Thus, for 6 hours, you're taking away from something else. If it was something where, kind of like away teams, where yes, I'm having to dedicate 2 ships and 2 crews, but it's like I'm dedicating the last 2 docks, my least important docks, my least important hostile crews, I think the reaction would have been a lot better for Outposts, because then it would have been, the emphasis would have been on the time, like it is with away teams, not on the time and on having the optimal crew loadouts. I think that's a big reason that Outposts have kind of failed, is they not only expected you to engage with the loop via your time, but they wanted you to do it with some of the best things that you have access to in the game. And that's what made away teams, in my opinion, successful. Was, yes, you're using a whole bunch of officers and stuff, but they're things that you're not using, right? They're just sitting there. So if I could just send out 2 ships to do an outpost and it didn't require me to use something of value, I actually would think that'd be a very good mechanic. But because it also requires value, that diminishes the value of the mechanic itself, in my opinion. And again, I think everybody's allowed to have thoughts and sways on that, but that's where I tend to stand on. So let me go ahead and just swap these. I don't really care about hitting critical there. I just want that. I just want all those goodies. So Rima, you get up there too. There we go. Made me feel better. Scopely, as you frustrated. Well, Bally Bomb, have you tried buying more packs? Have you attempted to buy more packs to feel better? You should consider this. Don't do that. How are you doing about it? I can make you feel better. I'll give you a hug. You want a hug? Right over here, big boy. Get one. Zolan says main plus survey ship / loot crew helps for the outpost, makes it easy to not tie up lots of good ships. It's true. But then you get from the flip side of that, Zolan, either you're punching down or you're running into the issue of most players can't do that. As in, most players have to use 2 combat ships to make it all the way through the outpost and get the maximum loot. Now, I'm right there with you. As you get stronger, it is great to find an alternative. I think that's really good. But most people aren't, like, the most people who are going to watch this channel, who are going to be involved, even people in your alliance, aren't in that boat. And it's great that you're there, but I don't think that that is also a sufficient argument considering where the major player base is at. Right? I do get what you're saying, though. And I think it's good to have that as a goal that you work towards as an individual player. But that doesn't help the greater population with Outpost. And I do think Outpost needs a general overhaul already. There's some good things about Outpost. And in fact, I already pitched an idea to the overlords of a similar Outpost mechanic. I got to have a call with game design, and I went over and pitched a feature that could come out the end of this year / next year. We'll see if it happens. And there are some similarities to Outpost, but it also took away from some of the things that I complain about, right? You know, things like, again, and this might just matter to me, the fact that I'm tying up 2 of my best ships in 6 hours. Or if you have more than that, remember, it could be 3 ships. It could be 4 ships, depending on if you have Fleet Commander Cisco, if you have the building upgraded. So it's even then not just 2 ships. It can be up to 4 ships it's expecting you to rely on. And that's a lot, right? That is a lot of effort. Also, Tibbs, you'd be proud. There's another 5K right there. And if anybody sees it, if you're in a Horde, I am currently looking for the Acquire Borg Directives 10K task, because I can do that one. So if you're out there in my group, let me know, because obviously we're going to need as many as we can. All of these alliances are bigger than us. We need to see if we can take them down. But if we can just get to 19th, I'll be happy. So if you happen to be there and you see that task, shoot me a message. I desperately need it. Desperate. Let me go check my refines, make sure I've got everything done here for the day. Check our support tab. That's a big one. Need to go do more Borg stuff, apparently. Amalgam. I don't remember if I have all these or not. Worry about that later. Mirror Universe. Don't have the NX01 yet. Need to work on getting that. Come in here. Yeah, don't need any of this. And not going to use those. Sorry, just checking and talking to myself as I work my way through this. All right, that's all fine. Let's go check our factions. Committed those ships, not knowing if you actually get to kill all the Outpost hostiles. Correct, Tim. So again, that's where I'm at. Like, I definitely praise players who are out there and they're able to find ways to make Outposts work really well for them. If you're strong enough to run 1 ship and then a loot, you know, things like that, that's fantastic. You know, it's just one of those things where it doesn't affect everybody, and I try to make, or at least I try to emphasize my feedback on what the greater game population is trying to experience or struggling with. It's also like, I don't care if something requires your powerful ships, it's just the time element. Like, you look at, this area, the Borg Conqueror solos that just came out. Now, they're obviously not on this account, but the Borg Conqueror solos that just came out, these require your strongest ship, but these are just a regular armada. So like, you have to have an interceptor, you have to have a battleship, you have to have an explorer. So you do have to have 3 strong ships of 3 different types, but it takes a few minutes. It doesn't take 6 hours. So having that tied up for a few minutes a day or every few days is not as big of a deal as coming to an outpost, which is going to sit, and if you are going to complete all of it, will take you a full 6 hours. And that's just a very long time for a lot of people. Now, Bob, good to see you. Says, I'm level 51, we're just under 200 million overall power. I've heard the 51 outposts are not worth it. Do you suggest waiting to get to 53, building one of the FKRs, and then trying the 53s? You know what? This is a good opportunity to bring up the outpost spreadsheet. Since we're talking about it so much, let's actually talk about outposts as a mechanic and whether you should do the 51s. Because I think there's a debate there certainly to be had. Let's 1 second. So the 51s are very limited in their payouts, right? And when I mean limited in their payouts, you don't get near as much. Let me just go ahead and shoot you straight on that one. I think whether you wait or not, to me, and here's the spreadsheet, depends on how long is it going to take you to get to those levels. I think that's the question everybody has to ask themselves. How long is it going to take me to do that? So for example, let's say you're level 51 like you are, Bob. I do recommend people go to 53. Like, I don't really personally find a reason to just be at 51. I feel like you need to try to aim to get to 53 so that you can then upgrade, get your FKR. That also lets you upgrade your relativity further, lets you max your Monavine, max your Fuchsia, max your Voyager, which is great for your IA. There's a lot of reasons to move on to 53 and not really sit at 51. Well, let's say that you're a player. You take it, your play style is you go level by level, right? You're not really big on like camping, then speed jumping, then camping. You're just going to play the game. If you're a player who's going to be at 51 for a while, then I think you absolutely should be doing Outpost. My basic logic is this. If you're going to sit at the maximum, again, you can only hold a certain amount of directives, right? Like, the directives are finite. You can't save up 10,000, 20,000 Outpost directives. So if you're just sitting at 51, then run the 51s because you're getting currency, right? If you are just there, don't sit on max Outpost currency for no reason. Go ahead and run 51s. And even if you only get through a few of these, you're still earning credits. As you can see, the rewards are significantly lower. Absolutely they are. But if you're already there, what's the logic in not doing it? Besides the fact the 6 hours, all the complaints we just said, ignore those. What's the excuse to not do Outpost? Like if you're at 53, unless you're moving, or if you're at 51, unless you're moving to 53 within like the next week or two, right? What's the harm in running it just to get the medals and the credits? And you might go, well, what can I even get with this? Well, you can still get some rewards with this. Are you getting a lot? No, you're not, right? But you come down to what this actually requires. So this is your medals over here. You're not going to be getting plunder, right? Again, let's go back to this. So you're getting credits, medals, and components. Let's look at the medals though. So let's just say all you're going to grab at 51 are the medals. Well, that still lets you start working on Esri. Still lets you get Galactic Acclaim, right? Still lets you work on Nog. Lets you work on hijacked refits if you so choose, right? So there's still things that the regular currency can benefit you as a 51 before you go to 53. So they are, any player that tells you the 51s are worthless, I think what they're really saying is they don't pay out much. And that's absolutely true. I mean, the biggest problem I would say is probably this, like they give you crap for cores. Like they don't help you advance to your building. Like getting to just the 53s is a massive uptick in how much you get paid to actually participate in this mechanic. But if you're at 51 and you're not moving to 53 anytime soon, you might as well start the process if you're okay with just like leaving your 2 ships out. And if one other good reason that I would recommend doing it, Bob, is so that you can get used to the mechanic and used to the officers and how they work and find what officers work for you. Because your officers are pretty much going to stay the same for your Outpost mechanic basically forever until you get better officers. But you still need to operate inside the mechanic. So it helps you start working with things like understanding the crit floor, the ISO damage they might have at the 53s, the Psionic Assault, the Apex Barrier. Again, these are the different types. We typically recommend people only do the Borg type, to be clear. But again, at a 51, that helps you learn the mechanic, which is what it was designed to be, by the way. The 51 Outpost was meant to be a tutorial. Learn the basics, get your crews figured out, go from there. So I would say if you're in that situation that I just described where you're going to be at 51 for a little bit anyway, might as well run it. If you're going to go to 53 in the next week or two, then yeah, save your directives. Valley Bomb is volunteering his credit card and home mortgage. What a nice guy. Valley Bomb's a great guy. He does get frustrated with STFC, as we all do, though. And I can completely understand getting frustrated with STFC. 100%. Go check our tasks, see if we got anything good in here. 750 Herogen, meh. Premium artifacts, I'm going to rotate those. There's that Temporal Disruptor, though, which is I really do believe one of the best ones. So, Joanne says, remember when we used to have fun currencies, thing like the gummies? You miss fun currencies? Everything is so serious nowadays. Do you want more levity in the game? I can live with that. I think there's a balance for both. We've run into issues where some people get mad at like fun things. Other people really want fun things. Some people want this to be very realistic. I'm actually on your side, Mr. Man. I like the idea of, gummies. I think that's funny. I think it's good to have little moments of humor. Everybody agrees. So no matter where you're at on that one, share your opinion. I guess where it really matters. See this the merger announcement. We did Swedish Chef. We talked about those 8 servers earlier in the stream. Chad Good to see says on the topic of war, this game brings out the worst in people. On a server where all but 1 or 2 alliances are at war for the last 3 years, each side hates each other to the point no discussion. I can't really agree with you on the point that this game brings out the worst in people. And again, people aren't going to agree with Rev. I believe people are just bad. Individually, I believe individuals are good. Collectively, I believe people are bad. I don't believe the game brings out anything besides making people see humanity for what it is. And if you take away the safety net of society, as in like all the social contracts we've agreed on, we follow these rules, we do these things, and you just allow people to roam free, which is exactly what the internet does. The internet is essentially the Wild West. It is a lawless place. It is a do whatever you want for the most part place. And yes, there is monitoring for extreme things, but like just general, like games and playing war and games, certainly not going to monitor. I think you're just seeing humans for what they are. And we're getting a little bit too in the philosophy tract, and people are going to start debating over moral relativism and things like that, which is not what I'm intending. But I just believe you're seeing what people are. Period. Like individually, yeah, people may be good inside social constructs. You take them outside of that, you put them on the internet. Yeah. I'll put it this way. As a youth, I was very much, everybody should get a vote. Pure democracy, no matter what. And then the older I've gotten, I've really been like, man, not everybody should vote. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? So I do appreciate your perspective. Remind you of the Men in Black speech? Fair. At least Outpost is like a mining mechanic, but without the hassle of being PvP ganked. I guess there is that. A Outpost can't be touched in PvP. So I guess that's a win if you're one of those types. I guess that's a win. All right, let me see if I can find me another task here. I would really, I'm gonna rotate the multiphasic one. Maybe I can get lucky. Fusion rods. Maybe I can get lucky and get the Borg task. Uncommon commander. See, that's a free-to-play one if you have building upgrades for this. And as you can see, I'm up to my level for that. But that is a free-to-play task, which I don't know if Tibbs is here. He might have a couple levels he can do of that, but I can't. So that one doesn't benefit me. But now there's 3 free-to-play tasks up, and my first reaction is just leave them and hope somebody in my alliance picks them up, and I'll have to also re-ping my alliance, remind them that tournament started today. Really stay on top of everything. So, because we're in Masters League now, man. It's more serious than it was before. It's very serious. Let's check my store real quick. I have a limited amount of currency. Not enough currency to do Kashara pull. I think I need one more Kashara pull to unlock my Kashara. You're forever stuck in expert? You got to work hard, RPM. Yours doesn't pay high enough per level. So what I had to do before in the past, Tibbs, on this account is I would save up 2 levels at a time. Depending on what ops level you're at, saving 2 to 3 is enough. But you do obviously have to have the range to be able to move up in that. So you have to have the range to be able to make that move. But either way, if you're in Horde, go and grab that. Go and check that out. Kim Manson, I can't do anymore. Do me maxing your building already? Yeah, right. And that just means it's available for somebody else. And it's one I like mentioning, though, because it's often forgotten. Right? It's easy to overlook this one. It's very easy to overlook this because there's just so many other things already going on, and I get that. So I just try to call it out when it happens. And with the free-to-play 10K task, the big thing is helping people earn the credits, right? That's why my goal is to get everybody able to do some free-to-play 10K task. Because yes, every task helps the leaderboard, right? That's why I'm doing this now. We're up to 21 people. Heck yeah. I still got to catch up to Mr. Tibbs here, but that's awesome. That's good. But most of these tasks, like this 5K Romulan task, which I am, I'm going to grab. Yep, I'm going to grab that. That 5K Romulan task, look, it doesn't pay out the currency, right? So most of you want that currency, understandably. So we want to try to get as many 10K tasks as possible. So even things like that building that are easy to forget about, or maybe you don't originally see as that important, you come back to and go, oh, that's 10,000 points. But more importantly, that's also resources that I can use and take advantage of. And there's your value. Proto Matter 10K task, how many actually do you need to get? And another great question. But that one is dependent on 2 major things, Brigadier Jones. The first thing that it relies on is what is the level of your Q trial building, because your Q trial building has a percentage here that magnifies proto matter rewards. So let's just say that you've got a building at level 60, or yeah, let's just do 60. You see that proto matter bonus is 850%. Then the second thing that matters is which one of these are you going after? Are you doing a 2-star, a 3-star, or a 4-star? Because remember, each one of these has a different payout. So this, the 2-star is 120. If you come down to the 1-star, it pays out 80. And then you're going to multiply that. So what is 80 times 8.5? That's what the 850% bonus would do, right? So then oh, okay, well, I'm getting was that about like 1,000 per? So depending on those two things, you can then calculate how many Taco Bells it would take you. But you have to figure that out first. You just got to do the math on, are you doing the 4-star trials and what is your building level? And then you can just do the math on how many that's going to take. So if I need 55,000 and I know I get 1,000 per, that means I need to do 55 runs. So then 55 times 25 equals, that's what you need in terms of trial bells. So, not that I'm of course trying to avoid the answer, just the answer to your question is something that I can't know because I can't see your account. That is the answer to your question. Your Q building is max for your ops, which is 6.3. Okay, good. Well, then you're just going to take that bonus. And then so at 63, I would assume you can do the 4-star and are done with Q trials. And if that's the case, then you're going to multiply that by the 4-star trial pays out, looking at the other account right now, 200. So you're going to multiply your percentage by 200. Then you know how much you can do. Why did I word it like that? Once you do that multiplication, then you can see, okay, I earned this much. Then you're going to do the division of how many actual attacks will that take. The Ferengi Whip at level 40 to get those free bells. You can actually get the Ferengi Whip lower than level 40 these days. But you're right. Yeah, that is a main sourcing for my bells on server 20. Yes, absolutely. All right, my poor little Vindicator got punched in the mouth. So I'm just getting my daily done for those curious. And then we're going to go grind Romulans. Just got to get the daily done. And you're welcome, Brigadier Jones. Very happy to help, as always. Top Gun says, I'm ops 34. Would you say going straight to 36 is better than sitting at 35? I have high power for my level. There's an argument for 36. I'd say either 35 or 36. You want to sit at for a little bit, get your Epic, get the specialty ships, the Talios, the Voyager, etc., Cerritos Titan. And then 39, and then go 40 plus. So, what's the optimal tier / level for the whip? The key with the whip is just don't take it past tier 8. That's the main thing. Just don't take it past tier 8. Now, there are arguments to be made for like tier 4. There are arguments to be made for like tier 7. But either way, just don't take it past tier 8. STFC math is like Common Core. That doesn't make any sense because all the math I just did was pretty basic multiplication and division. Doesn't make any sense. Do you know of any officer that gives increased loot for board continuum armadas? Doc Below Decks does, if I remember correctly. RPM says, I did linear calculus and feel dumb when I try to do STFC math. Rev has a PhD in FCC differential equations. Well, thank you. I just think it's... I don't think any of it's complicated. I just think people get annoyed with it being this complicated in a video game, right? I think that's what it really comes down to. And that's fair. And I would say if you're one of those people that you don't like that type of complication, avoid tasks that make you do math, right? Not every task needs to be for everybody. Leave that task for somebody like Rev who's willing to figure it out. Yeah, 5 of 11 would also work on the continuums, Kevin. Yes. As a reminder, stfc.cc to see what works with everything. stfc.cc. All right, we got a few minutes here. Let me grab this, and we're going to send this on out to Romulan space. And since we got to go to Romulan D, I need to get 43s. So this seems like, actually, we'll go to a 44 system. We'll go to a 44 system, freeze our chaser, and then start going crazy. You have your Amalgam out doing mining, which a lot do not like to see Amalgam actually doing mining. Hey, speaking of, here you go. Here's my Amalgam mining rare transigen. I'm currently at 26,000. Yeah, right there with you. SEC math problem is how inconsistent they list things. Correct. Right, and there are a lot of times you're going to need to come to myself or Tiberius or another content creator to get the answers you're looking for. Sean says, I just want to max the whip. Why, Sean? Don't do it to yourself. Which of the new PvE researches in the Maverick tree will be the most impactful? The center line. That's easy. Now, this account doesn't have a Maverick tree I can show you, but I can describe to you where it's at. Go to the Maverick tree. The 3 in the center row are the max, or the main ones. So you're looking at getting Apex Shred, and then you want to get the critical damage reduction. In specificities, the Apex Shred is for the G6, the critical damage is for the G7. Now, as I taught last week, if you're doing the G7 ones, you can just run Deanna Troy as captain on one of your ships, and that kind of takes care of that. Apex Shred, you also have Apex Shred that you can gather via the away team's research tree, and you can get Apex Shred there if it's taking you a while to work through your Mavericks. But in terms of what's most important, the center line, the Apex Shred and the critical damage reduction, specifically for G6 and G7s. Everything else is, the G7 efficiencies. Obviously, those are very valuable if you're in your G7. And if you're not, well, you can't even do them anyway. And then for everything else, you have what are essentially 2 primes that aren't listed as primes, or at least they don't have the color coordination of primes, but they're primes. And then you've got some mitigation bonuses, the ISO defense. The ISO defense is fine, but again, most of y'all should have ISO defense already. Here, 17. I want to freeze this chaser, and then we'll switch over. But if you have Joaquin, you have Pelia, stuff like that, you've probably got a lot of your defense. More defense is always better. But in terms of what the main items are, the main items are going to be what I just listed. Are you mining titanium, sir? You know what? I'm just going to... Yep. All right. There we go. And let's see. They wanted to join Horde, so sure, we'll shoot you an invite. Everybody's welcome in Horde. Unless you're a communist, and then you're not welcome anywhere. Communism is bad. All right, get up here and give me just a second, y'all. Not ignoring y'all. I'm just going to do the Picard maneuver. I'm sure many of you know how to do it, but in case you don't, you can see me do it and you can replicate it. I'm just going to freeze the chaser. You can either do this by telling it to attack or just going in the direction. You can hit recall, stop at mid-recall, and then don't touch anything. You're going to wait for the red ring to disappear. That'll freeze the hostile. Then you can go back to doing whatever it is that you need to do. So we'll let that finish. Bam, it's done. Now I can actually start spamming these traders and hitting these and getting my job done. So if you didn't know, that's how you freeze a hostile. Real simple. Works for any of them. I like to give myself about a 10-second impulse window. So that way, like, I'm not going to hit it within 10 seconds. It gives me time to get the freeze to do and work and be effective. But in case you didn't know, there you know. Yeah. STFC gave small-scale models with packs that might increase sales, like micro machine size. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I've got a... I've still got the 5th year anniversary box they made. Like, that was real nice. See, I've got my bar of Latinum. Star Trek Fleet Command bar of Latinum. Oh, yeah, the light, it lights up. The box lights up. So, 5th year anniversary. Then it has a comm badge, although the magnets on that badge are not very good. But anyway. Yeah, I think they should do more stuff like that. I think that's cool. I think people enjoy that type of stuff. I know I do. And I'm sure many of you are the same. Let's see what this was. Yay, rising tensions. Funny enough, I do actually need all those things, so... It's always fun for me to go to a new G range because you're like, man, I actually need to go get 4-star now. Been living on 3-star. I need to go get 5-star now. It's actually kind of nice. It's also another one that's a benefit to be punching up because I complete these events so much faster. So much faster. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up. Don't forget, we'll be live on Twitch later if you want to come get more content out, whether it's Star Trek, Fleet Command, whatever. And if you would be so kind, please check out our website. We just put out a new family post, revduce.com. If you'd like to sign up to support, I know another content creator asking for your money, but if everyone here just sign up at the $5 level, we can make sure we got all of our bills paid. So if you're out there, you feel led, it's greatly appreciated. If you don't, completely understand. I thank all of y'all for being here, and I really do appreciate y'all for supporting me and my family by watching the content, liking the videos, and chatting. Live long and plunder. See y'all on the next one. And yeah, which will be this evening. Not far away.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.